Hello again, hope everyone is doing well. Today's video is going to be a recap of the first 3 or 4 weeks of the footy season as I've seen them, and going through a few specific players who I think their footy card prices may have changed, or their status in the game may have changed in these first 3 or 4 weeks. The format, it's going to be a bit different. I'm just sharing my screen at the moment, so I tried to put my face in the bottom corner, but it was lagging a lot with the sound. So I'm going to keep it simple, just screen sharing, and this might give an insight into how I tend to look into players and look into storylines as well, and how that relates to footy cards. So I think I should just get straight into it, and then I'll explain more along the way. But the first player that really caught my eye, and it goes back to the very first game of the season, the draw between Carlton and Richmond, was Charlie Curnow. So Charlie Curnow didn't really have a huge night that night, but I was really impressed by his physicality. I don't think you can even click into the name here. That's funny. But yeah, I was impressed by his physicality. I didn't watch a whole heap of footy last year, and Kerno before that was pretty injury ridden, so I didn't get to catch too much of his game. But I had in my head that he was a very athletic player, which he is. But I thought he would use that to get out on the lead, beat people in the air, that kind of stuff. But he is really quite a bully as well. And I was hugely impressed by that when I first saw him. Like, he was really crashing packs, really violently kind of going through people. So I think he has a bit of everything. And I know he added another 5 or 6 goals last night. So that definitely helps his possibility of going back to back in the Coleman medal. But Charlie Curnow, I'm just going to go look at his footy cards now. If you guys haven't been on this site, this is a site I use all the time to look up footy cards. It's hugely helpful. I don't know who put it together, but I owe them a lot because it makes it very simple to look up people's cards. I'm a rookie person, as you guys probably know, so I'm just going to concentrate on his rookie cards. His pre-rookie release was Future Force 2015, and then he had the rookie card in 2016, and that looks like his only card in 2016. So his only rookie cards, looks like he has three main ones. The red signature, or the black signature from Future Force, that one is out of 200, I believe. Something is covering it for me, but yeah, 200 produced. Then the green will be out of 40. This is the same year as Petrarca, actually, so it's the same set of cards. And then is this just a base? I'm guessing this is just, yeah, it must just be the base card there. So that probably has 10,000-ish copies. Not really worth anything, but if Kerno becomes the next star forward of the AFL and all these other ones get eaten up, maybe this will go from 10 cents to a couple dollars. But I wouldn't be holding out for that personally. The three ones of interest are these three, and then the last is the certified rookie 240. That's a cool card as well. So I really like how Kerno's been playing. I somehow caught nearly every Carlton game this season, which I don't really know how that's happened, but yeah, they're not a bad team to watch, and they seem to be getting really nicely timed games, especially for watching in America. I tend to watch the Thursday and Friday night games the most. Let's just look at some sales from the start of the season. I'm guessing he has had a bit of an uptick in price and sales volume as well. Um, I'll just skip past the team coach. Is that it? That is kind of strange. Let's look at Future Force, see if that gives us something different. Okay, so this is in hand signed of the base card. Definitely not worth $60. Someone who bought that was probably just didn't know what they were buying, or maybe they just really like in-person signed cards. But personally, I wouldn't be buying this one. This one, $70 for his card out of 200. That doesn't seem like a bad deal, especially when you get other ones here, like the franchise future from 2019. It's not a rookie card, doesn't have as much significance for me, and that's selling for 355. So at $70, that's not bad. But I do want to go into how I project Kerno's full career to look at the end of his time. And to do that, I do need to look up the stats. So I was kind of hoping you can just go straight into the player, but I don't think you can. Let's do a separate search. Charlie Curnow. So let's look at his career so far. Before I do that, I do want to check what cards of his are on the market. If there's many at this $70 price point, or okay, so there's 150. These are greens, 2,000, 2,500. You can do that because it's such a rare card that you can put your own price in it, although no one's going to buy it at at those prices for the time being. But those are the only ones on the market. So if someone really just like needs it instantly, yeah, you can kind of name your own price. But yeah, it's quite a shallow market at the moment. Definitely not too many going around. So that $70 price point doesn't seem too bad in that context. But let's look at his career. And what I'm a tad worried about is he's 26, so he's definitely still very young. Um, but he has been in the system for 7 years now. This is his seventh season. He's only played 87 games. That really sticks out to me. Yeah, 7 seasons, 87 games just doesn't really stack up. The fact is, he's really getting into his stride now, but he has only got the 153 goals now. After last night, it's probably 159 now, so it's going up rapidly. But in my eyes, he has a lot of catching up to do. So just as a comparison, let's look up Jeremy Cameron. Jeremy Cameron is the benchmark of current forwards. I think you could look at someone older like Hawkins or Jack Rewalt, but someone in that in between stage who's still at the peak of their powers is Jeremy Cameron. And I just like to compare how Curnow is projecting versus someone who's already there like Cameron. So Kernow's played 87 for 153 goals. It's just a touch less than 2 goals a game. Jeremy has played 213 games and he's kicked, where's the goals? 542. So that's closer to 2.5 or 3 goals a game, which is much more. Or it's got averages here actually. So it's 2.54 a game versus 1.76. And over a career, that 0.8 difference really stacks up. So for Curnow to be where Cameron is right now, he's got 4 years difference, so let's just say 4 seasons, and he has to make up nearly 400 goals. For him to be where Cameron is now in his career, he has to have 4 seasons of nearly 100 goals a game, which we know in this era just will not happen. So although I think Curnow is great and he's going to be a star of the competition for seasons to come, judging by how he's playing at the moment, I'm not sure he's going to stack up career-wise and legacy-wise to someone like Jeremy Cameron, Tom Hawkins, Nick Rewalt, like those real high-end AFL players. On the other hand, I think Jeremy Cameron will stack up very well against someone who is a top-level forward. Let's say Nick Rewalt. I really look at that one often because he's almost like a benchmark for these big forwards. So he played 336. He kicked 718 at a lower clip than Jeremy Cameron, but Nick Rewalt was more than a goal kicker. He took a whole lot of marks. Let's see his marks per game, 8.76. Cameron has 5.31. So it shows they're a bit of a different player. However, Cameron is becoming that extra player as well now. And the start of his career was more just a one-dimensional goal kicker. Now he gets 20 plus disposals a game sometimes, and that's nuts. Like if someone that his size and that dangerous around goal shouldn't be able to float up the ground and get those 20 really damaging disposals. So I think Cameron at 542, he has to make up 160, 170 goals to catch up to Nick Rewalt, and he's only 30. I think Cameron has a very, very good chance of getting there, and if he keeps being as dominant as he is today, he might get into that conversation as the best forward, one of the best forwards since 2000. He's already probably up there. And it's almost surprising how close he is to becoming that real high-end Hall of Famer. So I spent quite a lot of time talking about Kerno and Cameron, but I do want to go into a couple other players this video as well. The next player is Jordan De Goey. Goey was a tad quiet last night, wasn't it? No, on Thursday night against Brisbane. A tad quiet by his standards. But earlier, the week before, I didn't watch the game, but I think he had 35 disposals and 2 goals or something. And on the opening week, let's just check my notes. I did watch this game against the Cats. So yeah, against the Cats, he didn't have as many touches as Nick Dacos, and I think not everyone, but lots of people had Nick Dacos as best in ground. But I think De Goey was clearly best on ground that day. He was explosive, he was dominant, and he really stood out across anyone on both teams. So I think De Goey is definitely someone to look into. I do want to see how old he is, just to De Goey stats. Let's see how old he is. He's only 27, so he's got a lot of his career in front of him. He's already played 140 games. How many goals? He's kicked 177 goals, so he's kicked more goals than Charlie Curnow at this time, and he's not even just a straight goal kicker. He's averaging nearly 18 touches a game, and the way he plays is very damaging. I compare him to more like a Dusty type, maybe a more like a Bontempelli, Dangerfield, those kind of guys who they can rack up 35 touches in a game, but they can also rack up 18 and be best on ground. And those are the kind of players I really like to watch play, and also I like to invest in, because even if they have 15 touches, they're probably going to be in the top 10 players on the ground. And that's what I like about players like that. So De Goey, unfortunately, it looks like he doesn't really have many rookie cards to choose from. He has the 2014 Future Force. That's just a base card. Took Miller's in the same boat as this. He only has the base card from 2014 Future Force as his rookie. So it's a bit disappointing because, there's about 10,000 he's produced. It's not going to be an expensive card at any point. And the next one is in 2016. He has the base and the certified 460. I wouldn't really consider those as rookies. I'd rather have this one in high grade if I wanted any De Goey rookie. So unfortunately, footy card wise and investment wise, his cards don't really fit the bill, even though he could become a really important player in the AFL landscape in years to come. So I'm just going to push past that, because at the end of the day, I am looking at a footy card level, even though I like discussing it just on a footy level full stop. I do want to bring it back to footy cards as well. So De Goey's been talked about. I do want to touch on the younger players. So we see Nick Dacos is leading disposals at nearly 35 a game, which is ridiculous. But it's not just Nick Dacos who's having a great start to the season. You've got Will Ashcroft for the Lions, had a great game against Collingwood this week. You've got Harry Sheasel. I feel like you just got a lot of young players really staking their claim on the game and on their teams at the moment, and really leading from the front. Actually, it seems to me like it's a bit of a changing of the guard, especially with Geelong winning last year. It was a bit like, these young players really have to step up to knock the older players off the perch. Players like Selwood, Dangerfield, Hawkins, they were still dominating, but and you're almost waiting for that next young crop to make it so these guys can't dominate anymore. And I think we're seeing that at the moment in this group that's coming through. I do want to touch on Nick Dacos, who's been the most impressive out of all of them. I did put out that video last year saying anyone who buys Nick Dacos rookie cards at that point is going to get crushed, and I still believe that. But I do have to say Nick Dacos is a special talent. He will have his detractors, but I think from what he's showing at the moment, he is an elite ball getter. I don't think I've ever seen someone, maybe Gary Ablett, maybe a Sam Mitchell, maybe a Dane Swan, just accumulate. Like, he is one of the best accumulators I've ever seen, especially in these first 3-4 weeks of the season. He's always there for the handball receive. He's always in space. He's always just racking him up. I think in the first week against Geelong, the game I watched, I was like, Nick Dacos has been really quiet. He's not really doing anything. That's a bit disappointing for the first game of the season. And then he got the ball and it's flashed up that he had it 17 times in the first half. And I was like, I didn't see him once. And that's not always a good thing. But when now I'm watching out for him, and he does get lots of those good, quick, and easy possessions. No, it's not those kind of possessions that I like usually from those high end players like Bont and Cripps. But he can do that as well. He's kicked goals this season. He's got the inside 50s. He's got some clearances to his name as well. So I don't think it's just complete junk time, Tom Mitchell-esque, who was that, Joel Bowden-esque back in the day, that you might get 30, 40 touches and they don't mean anything. I think he has medium impact with his disposals at the moment. Hopefully he can get that up. But yeah, I've been very impressed in watching Nick Dacos play so far. But in saying that, like I said, I still don't think at his price point that it's a useful investment, footy card wise. Let's see if people are paying his prices at the moment. Good draft. I know for a fact there's going to be a lot on the market. Yeah, there's heaps on the market right now. Actually, not a huge amount. Let's look at sold, because it's a newer release. I spelled it wrong. Because it's a newer release, I'd assume that there's lots of stuff in the market. So the copper sold for 500. That's a very strong sale. That seems like it's almost back to where, not back. I think it started out the gate at nearly $600, so it's still down, but still a very strong sale. A lot of these are highly produced, but yeah, if you want a lower cost Dacos rookie card, then it's not a bad option. The gold selling. Oh, so these are kind of old. These are February. So it looks like there hasn't actually been a huge amount of market movement or market activity since the start of the season, which is kind of surprising because he has really been in the news everywhere to start this season. Spell his name right. It might be the simple fact that no one wants to sell his cards right now because he's playing so well and people think he's going to be the next big thing. Say if he was to win the Brownlow this year, that would be huge, and his cards probably do have a slight leg up from where they are now. But long term, I still stand by it. Even if he becomes the best player of all time, his cards aren't going to get a big leg up or any leg up whatsoever. So I don't really understand buying them at their prices now, because if he's the best player ever, awesome. They stay where they are or they go up slightly. If he's anything less than the best player ever, they're going to go down significantly. So the risk, what's it called? The risk analysis or the profit loss analysis doesn't add up for me. There's just a lot of downside risk and not much upside potential whatsoever. It's interesting to see these rookie wild cards come out from from Team Coach. They are a year late, but I wonder if they're going to try and catch up and release rookie cards as well. It shows that people are really paying attention to rookie cards, and people think it's the next big thing. If even team coaches trying to jump on the bandwagon. Yeah, still not a huge amount. Like there's stuff popping up, but not much for reasonable price. That's $100 for a Optimum Plus. That's gold for 1,300. Out of 25 for $2,000. Platinum $3,000. Yeah, there's definitely nothing for, like, people don't want to sell him right now. That's what it seems like to me, and I don't blame him. He's really couldn't have started the season much better. But that's pretty much all I want to say for Nick Dacos. Let's move on to the next couple players. I might actually wrap it up there. I'll see how long I've been going for, but it's probably been a long enough video already, and I'll try and keep doing these videos if you guys enjoy them, the more podcast style, I guess, or more stream of consciousness, because it's easier and probably more insightful than than an edited kind of a video, which is very edited and very planned. So this might give more insight into how I go about researching things, how I think about things, and what I get out of watching footy. But I might try and do one of these once every couple of weeks just to tell you guys where I'm at. So let me know if you enjoyed. I hope to see you next video, and cheers. Thanks.